Ah, hi,
Hi,
Nichole.
how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
No, this is not good. Okay.
Hi,
Hello.
can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I could hear you fine before, but I don't think you could hear me.
No, I'm sorry about that. Oh God.
That's fine.
How are you today?
I am doing well. How are you?
Peachy Keen Jelly Bean. Thank you so much for coming
No
on this
problem. Thanks
live
for having
stream.
me. I'm honored to be the first.
I'm honored that you were willing to come on here. I'm just like, yes! This is
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely.
Okie dokie. So you wrote a new book. That's
I did.
exciting. Can you tell us more about it? What is your
Yeah,
book's name?
Spellbound, the Magician. See, the reason it has two names is there's a reason behind that because it was
Mm-hmm.
originally just called Spellbound.
Okay.
I learned throughout the process of um,
Mm-hmm.
writing that I don't like writing novels. I've written novels like for Nano and stuff, but then it's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm pushing just nonsense out just for the sake of trying to get the words. So when I don't have that pressure behind me and I have like an actual story that I want to tell, I realize I don't like writing novels. I don't have the longevity for it. My brain is way more tuned to writing short stories. I've said it a million times, there's like a special art to writing short stories to be able
Yes.
to tell that story in like a small amount. And that's what my brain is like totally great for doing. And that's
Mm-hmm.
probably the only thing, to be honest. But um,
No, you're amazing. Brilliant. Brilliant. People doing brilliant things.
exactly. Great name, by the way. Very, very clever. But so I realized that I don't like writing novels. So in order to get through it, I opted to instead break the story into four novellas and
That's
to just
smart.
publish it as four novellas. So each novella is spellbound, the overarching story, but then they have like the little title, The Magician.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And
You're
the next one
fine.
is the High Priestess. And then so to carry on from there, um, the stories, and I've got four of them on deck. I
Mm-hmm.
am currently on my second to last draft of the second book.
Whoa, congrats. That's a big feat.
Thank you. If all goes well, and I'm giving
Mm-hmm.
myself the grace to let this fall apart if it doesn't work out. If
Good.
all goes well, I will have it published March 1st.
Congrats. That's amazing.
Thanks. By the time all is said and done, I will have published 5 books in a year.
What? Oh my
So
goodness.
I've got
You
Ghost
are a
Stories for the
powerhouse.
Brokenhearted.
Yes.
Oh, it's just if it weren't for 2020, there's no way I'd be able to do this because everybody's just sitting at home doing nothing. So that's kind of the boost that I needed.
Yes. Lemonade out of lemons.
Exactly.
Or you just leave the lemons whole. Like, yes, I am going to give it to you, lemons.
Yeah, like you're not gonna get me down. No, totally. Sorry, I'm being weird and I'm putting my hair up, but
What? You're
it's
fine. I'm the one who's been adjusting the lights and been like, well, this was not weird. Don't worry about it.
I am all about we will figure it out as we go. That has been the story. When I first started on YouTube, I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea what I was doing, start to finish, no clue. I didn't even know how to upload videos, but I was recording them and getting them posted. I didn't know how to put music on or how to edit or do these different things.
Right?
And I flat out said, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to try it and we're going to figure it out as we go. I am all for that because then you get to see the growth. There's such there's fun
True.
in it. So I'm glad that you are being brave enough to not let perfection keep you from like
I've let it cut me for like 10 years, if I'm not gonna lie. Like I've had an account for a while. I put some stuff up when I was younger, but it was more avant-garde art stuff that was not, it didn't work out. But I'm glad they took it down.
that's exciting.
So now I'm dabbling again. But you guys you're amazing, and I'm just so thank you for helping.
Oh, thank you. I did I'm just me. I don't know.
You wrote a book. You wrote a few books. You've got. I'm excited to read Ghost Stories for the Brokenhearted. I did read Spellbound. It's amazing, guys. You need to check it out. It's a really
you are
well
literally the
done book.
first person to read it outside of my family.
I feel so honored. Like, thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're the first person who's asked. You were like, "Can I get a copy?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. Here you go." Like, why not? Sure.
I hate when
So
interviews don't read the books first. I'm like, come on, we can tell you have not read this.
yeah, and that's
Which is fine. That's a good way to do an interview for some people.
yeah, because I mean the audience hasn't read the book either. So, but yeah. So all right, let's
Move on to question 2. What inspired Spellbound? Was there like a moment where you were like, huh, this would make a very interesting story?
the setting of Spellbound is basically a character in itself, and I
Okay.
hope that I brought that through with like my advertisements and stuff. We made those faux ads for shops that don't really exist in this fictional town. So
Cool.
but it is based off of a place that is actually my favorite.
Okay.
My favorite place to go is a place called Peninsula here in Ohio. It's kind of wedged between Akron and Cleveland. It's closer to Akron, honestly, but
Okay.
there's like a place in the thing. I'm going like this because this
I've
is
actually
Matt
never been
evidently.
there, and I grew up in Ohio. My mom was big on like, let's go exploring. So I'm kind of surprised I've never heard of this.
You
But
would
this sounds
absolutely
amazing.
love it from an exploring standpoint. Lots of waterfalls. The whole
Ooh.
entire area is just beautiful. There's a train that comes through. It's on the Ohio Erie Canal. So it's
Oh, wow.
just gorgeous. But as you read the book, you know that there is a headstone in a cemetery that is purported to be a witch's grave. That is an actual thing. I have pictures of it. I've been there multiple times. That exists. And exactly how it's described in the book is exactly how it is. That headstone is what inspired me to write the book.
I thought you made that tree up 1,000,000%. I was like, oh yeah, she got it. Because I heard you say where it was inspired from Sako's dream. And I was like,
Yeah.
she totally made up the tree. They're like, no, that's freaking amazing.
It's such a beautiful place. Like there's every twist and turn, there's something interesting to see. And there are so many old cemeteries that it's just so fun to walk through and just see all the different things. And I specifically love this specific one, because it is literally right beside a school. And so like such a weird place to, hey, I mean, build it where you want to, but okay. So the whole thing about this town has been my inspiration because it's such a beautiful place and so inspiring. It's got a nickname, and it's nicknamed Helltown because it's so supposedly haunted. There are so many neat, weird places that are creepy that people love. And I've just always loved it. So
when did you first go there?
The town is what inspired the story. I'm ready. Let's go.
Visit the town?
I had to have been a teenager, but I would have gone with my husband because I didn't know it existed until my husband was like, "Hey, let's go to this place." I was like, "Oh, okay." And like we didn't really travel a lot within that area. Like my family, if we were going to travel somewhere, we always went south, and his family always went north. So that was kind of like he knew all these places further up north, and I knew all the places down. But he was like, "Hey, yeah, let's go check out Helltown," and I'm like, "Ooh, spooky, let's do it." And we got French fries at a restaurant called Fisher's that in the book is called Hunter's. So
Cute. Oh, I like that a lot.
I'm like, I'm super creative. Can you tell?
No,
But
it's good to take reality and augment it slightly. It adds believability.
exactly. And the way that I thought it too is if something happens and the book goes big for some crazy reason, like that's never going to happen. And I'm okay with
Hey,
that.
it might. Netflix is constantly searching for new stuff.
Hey, and you know what?
Never say
Netflix,
never.
call me. Call me. We have things to talk about first, but then, you bring back some shows, we'll talk about selling some rights. But I just thought, it's a small family-owned business.
Mhm.
Maybe they would appreciate having that extra little bit of like, we're
Oh,
fishers, the
they will
home of
sell your
hunters.
book there, by the way. You just go ask. They will sell it at the register. They are all about supporting small towns.
That would be
Just
nice because right now they sell a lot of pie at the register. So to have my book being sold next to pie is like,
oh my God.
be amazing.
That's
So
heaven right there. Books and pie.
exactly, because you
Throw in a cup
can't.
of coffee. I'm in.
Oh yeah, like I am still nursing the same cup that
Cheers.
I've had since 7 this morning. So
Oh, I cannot do that. You have such willpower.
it's so gross, but we're out of milk. So this is it. This is the
Oh,
only cup I
okay.
have until I go grocery shopping. I have no other choice. It's this or just don't be human today.
Or go black. Blah, 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 blah. No. You could try making your own oat milk, but that always feels precarious to me.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of a skill. Writing is the extent of it. Honestly, that's the beginning and the end. And past that, I am just kind of a lump.
That's a lie, A. And B, you are a very talented writer. I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you. Thank
All right,
you.
on to our next question because you're just delightful. Okay. Did you have an interesting aha moment while you were writing Spellbound? Or maybe you've already shared that with us.
I think it was basically just the one where I was like, I should not be writing a novel. This is terrible. What was I thinking? That was my aha moment. And I think there's so much pressure that to be considered a valid, real writer, you have to write a novel.
Yes.
And
So there's a lot of
I think that's
gatekeeping.
bunk. Oh, I am just over the gatekeeping that happens in writer communities. But I think that again, I love short stories. Me personally, love short stories. And even Edgar Allan Poe only wrote one novel, and that novel, technically the length was novella length. So, like, even he, for as great as he was and as creative as he was, all his stuff was short stories. There's an art to it.
There
And
is.
I feel like the people who don't appreciate short stories are people that like don't have a very good imagination, maybe, because they want to be like spoon fed every teeny tiny little detail. And I can't do that with my writing. I can describe how every single room looks and every knickknack on a shelf and stuff like that. I need to give room for my readers' imaginations to put them in the setting because no matter
Mhm.
what room I create, there's something personal in every reader's brain that is going to create a room based on something they've seen or they've experienced that is going to be way better than anything I could come up with simply because it's personal. And in that personal moment, they're in the story. And I can't replace that. I'm not even going to try to replace that because that's beautiful. That's an agreement that's the magic between the writer and the reader, how we give just enough for their brains to fill in the rest. I love that. I love that.
That's beautiful. Oh, I like that too. Okay, technical difficulty. One moment.
You're fine. Go ahead. I'm going to drink some more coffee.
Ah, do it. Do
You
it.
got it.
Oh Lord. I hope they don't mind all the shaky camera. Bored. Anyway, moving on. How did you create your magical world? Were there any certain things you wanted to make sure you incorporated, or what kind of reality bending were you going for?
Um, Honestly, I kind of just flew by the seat of my pants. I knew what I had to work with, and I would walk around Peninsula, walk up and down the river, walk around a thing called a towpath that goes through there. It's this big, it's where the Native Americans traveled from. They had a words are hard.
They are hard. You're fine.
See, I'm better at writing. You get me talking, and then we have, again, remember, writing. That's the extent of it. So towpath, which is a big trail, essentially, that goes, I think, I totally have it wrong, but I think it goes from Lake Erie all the way down to the Ohio River.
Okay.
And take their canoes. They would follow the canal, except that it wasn't a canal, it was just a river. And then anyway, so it's this big thing that's been taken care of and preserved by the state. That's gorgeous. So I would walk along that, and then the train that comes through there, I would sit and watch the train and see the architecture, the stuff, and I would just get inspired, and my brain would start going, okay, how can I use this? How can I use that? The actual building that is in my mind for Bells and Barley, Barley and Brine. Bells and Barley was its old name, and I changed it to Barley and Brine. So that building used to be, like when I first started writing it, the building was a candy shop. And it was the cutest little candy shop. Since then, though, it's been sold, and now it's a bike shop. So we have like two dueling bike shops, like just a few doors down from each other. It's weird. But
bike shops are the Starbucks of small towns.
Yes, thankfully there is no Starbucks. No Starbucks. But that also means there's no coffee, really.
Oh, God.
I don't think there's a cafe. Now that I think about it, I'm thinking, I don't think there's a cafe in this town.
That's a little
weird.
Tragic.
Yeah, but at least they've got good French fries. That's important. Ooh. Can't go ghost hunting without French fries. So, yeah.
Nice.
That's basically just a town.
The town really inspired the magical world.
It really did. I mean, because it's such magic in itself. It's easy. Like I almost feel like it's cheating because I'm just writing what the place already has and what it inspired.
So the town is essentially a character in and of itself, kind of like New York City becomes a monolith. The town of Boston Falls is its own character.
Yes, it really is. And you've read the book, so you know.
Yeah, it is. It's got
Boston Falls is its own place. Yeah. It's fickle. It's a fickle little town.
What kind of witch is Davy? Oh, and for our readers or watchers, Davy is the main character. She is fabulous.
Yes. Davy is a good witch. She starts off understanding that she is the water witch, that there are 4 of them for the 4 elements. And she understands that she is a water witch. She holds the place of the water element in their little group. But as the books go on, she begins to start questioning that and questioning if she isn't meant for something a little bit bigger, grander. And that gets kind of addressed later, that perhaps she is something other than just water. So she's an interesting witch.
Sounds like it. So what drew you to writing teen characters?
Innocence. There's at that age group, at 16, there is a crux of innocence and wisdom. Like they're starting to know things, but they're also young enough that they don't know things. So there's a perfect blend here of still believing that anything is possible and having their minds be open to the magic of their childhood, but then also not being so jaded by the world later. So I really thought in my mind, the only people that could possibly save Boston Falls are a bunch of 16-year-olds, because anybody else would either curl up in a ball and cry or pretend like nothing's happening. And I'm like, it's got to be somebody who's just at that right age to believe in magic and still feel a sense of obligation to fix things.
And be old enough and capable enough to pull it off.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of them can't drive. So
that has been really, that's been funny. I have enjoyed that.
Yes.
A lot. Okay, so when you were 16, what was the most impactful book for you personally?
You're gonna laugh. I didn't read much when I was a teenager. I I read a ton when I was like in junior high. I was
Hmm.
constantly at the library. And at that time it was like R.L. Stein and the Goosebump books and things like that. I needed them all. Um,
Did you graduate to Christopher Pike ever?
Christopher Pike was one of the other ones, so I also had Christopher Pike in there, but I loved the spooky things.
Hmm.
Um, when I got into high school, I was in the marching band, and that took like I don't think people
Oh, you
realize
don't
how
have
much
any
of your
time.
no
Sorry.
time, no time. But that's it. No, you get it. That there's no time, and by the time you do have free time, the last thing you want to be doing is staring at something. You want to
Yeah.
be like decompressing in some other way. So between having to keep grades up, having a social life, having I didn't have time to read. I didn't really start reading again until I had a friend who bought me the first 5 Harry Potter books. And that was when I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll give this a shot." And but that had to be, I think it was early 20s at least. And at that point, I had been married. We had our first child, so it was a matter of like, okay, now I have a little downtime, kind of. Let me go ahead and start reading again. And that was just that's all she wrote. I have not stopped reading since. So
What's your best tip for like breastfeeding or bottle feeding and holding a book?
prop it up on the kid's head.
That is amazing. That's a good tip.
They don't mind. They don't
No, I
mind at
know.
all.
I
And they
believe
don't
that.
remember it. If they do remember it, just contribute like a good 20, $30 to their therapy as they, my mom put a book on me when I was an infant.
You're like, I
I
was
was
taught
nothing more than a
osmosis.
book holder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
But
you're learning through osmosis, child. I've made you smarter.
and I guess technically if you read out loud while then it's like double duty. Do you see that? Like it's
Then
not,
you're
and then they
really
can't
helping their
complain.
brain synapses. You're like, I made you smarter. You can unpack your problems because of me. Thank you. You're welcome.
Right. This is why you love Stephen King at 7. But
Oh, that's brilliant. No, my dad read me all of Sherlock Holmes at age 8, and then we read Drums Along the Mohawk, which, I mean, for a 9-year-old, it's a little adult. It's a good book though.
yeah, and the
Have you read
bright
it?
side though, I have not. But
Beautiful.
I've also only read one Sherlock Holmes book. Um The Hounds of Baskerville.
That is
The
a pretty
Hound
popular.
of the Baskervilles. Yeah, that's it. It's the only one I read.
Oh, well, Drums Along the Mohawk is actually a period piece set in the like time when we were invading the rest of America. But that was
Oops.
after the Sherlock Holmes. No, it's okay. Yeah, it is interesting. I
Good.
I do recommend it actually. Anyway,
Okay.
babbling on. Yes. Okay. Wow. So do you read your kid do you read him Stephen King at night? Is that what like how he developed his taste?
No, at this point, my children are both my son is 19, my daughter is
No.
16.
No.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Okay. Well, you're definitely a witch, I can tell.
It's all the bathing that I do in the blood of virgins. But I I am older than I look. Although today I feel like I pretty much look my age.
Oh, you're fine. Every day, you're fine.
Thank you.
Everybody's beautiful.
But so
Okay.
they're older now, but I did read to them, but I read like the Spiderwick Chronicles. And
Okay. I actually
so
haven't read that, but I've seen them and thought about it.
yeah, they're interesting. And then there was another series that I'm drawing a blank on, but their ants are literally ants, the little kid characters and the
Hmm.
aunts maybe. So we read a lot, but then I also would put on podcasts. And so we would listen to podcasts. So they got used to being able to process radio shows at the same time to hear it. And I was like, this is fun. But that's pretty much it. And then I have one child who loves to read and another child who is very mathematical and she cannot be bothered with a book. And I'm just like, hey, that's fine. That's fine.
She just hasn't lit on her book yet, maybe.
But possibly.
So did you have a Byronie? And Byronie is one of the four mainish side, one of the four major characters in the book. And
Yeah.
in book one, she's got a little bit of an attitude, a little bit
Yes.
of a toot, a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, sort of, but maybe more of a hump. I don't know.
Yes. Okay, so Bryony is
Oh, I'm sorry, I pronounced that wrong.
oh no, it's okay. However you hear it in your mind, go with it.
The whole Hermione Granger thing all over again.
Hermione, yeah. Oh, that messed me up for a long time. But and then Voldemort. We've all been pronouncing Voldemort wrong. Like
What?
it's supposed to be the French. Yeah, it's like the
Oh,
T is
come on.
not supposed to be. Yeah, I'm like, look, it's Voldemort.
Yeah, at
Because
this
that's what
point,
they
you
say in the
have
movies.
8 movies?
Yeah, it's gonna have to just stay. Sorry, JK. We
It
ruined that one
doesn't
for
belong
you.
to you anymore. It's ours now. Thank you. Divorce is
Exactly.
settled. Books are ours. Go away.
Exactly.
Take your.
So I oh my gosh, what was the question again? It was Bryony something.
Yeah, did you have one growing up for you personally? Was that an inspiration for the character or?
I didn't have one. I had many.
No.
Yeah, I was super
worse.
picked on as a kid because I was an introvert. So I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to do things. I really wanted to just be left alone. I wanted to be able to like take a book, again, reading, to a playground and like sit at the top of the slide and be left alone and just to read my book.
Reading at the top of a slide is fun. I give you that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to be.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because you just like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was raised by a very extroverted dad who did not understand introversion. He thought that I was just very antisocial. So I was constantly being told, go outside, get out, go out. And we lived beside a lake. So there was the nice benefit of going down to the lake. But the problem is that all of the kids in my neighborhood were complete a-holes. They were awful. I can't think back fondly on a single one of them, except the girl who actually was my friend and lived a block away. Her name was Jennifer. She was wonderful. Everybody else I could really do without in my life. So because I was constantly being told out to go outside, I was out in all of these horrible people and they were my age and they knew me from school. So they talked to me and I was like, oh, I just want to read my book. Like, and so I had many. I had a lot of tormentors as a kid.
I'm so sorry. That sucks.
I'm kind of like stuffing it in their faces now, though. Like, oh, who is successful and who is working, nowhere, I guess.
Her dreams. That's right.
Yes. Who got out of the town, traveled around the country, and then came back because I wanted to, not because I had to.
That's very powerful.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
I'm a little bitter.
You're allowed to be. People are kind of rude.
Yeah.
And mean. Yeah. It's hard to get over that.
Yeah. Although it taught me how to have a thick skin. So at this point, like bad reviews and that and rejection, I'm just like, eh. Like, sun's still gonna come up tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Or it's like, well, clearly you're dumb, so I'm just gonna keep moving. Into them. Okay.
No, and not everybody's like, I mean, luckily there are so many tastes in the world. So like, and also you're a brilliant writer, so they can go stuff it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I did enjoy it a lot. Okay, what is something you wish you knew when you started writing Spellbound? Go back in time and be like, Hey,
It would have saved me a lot
younger
of time
self.
it would have saved me a lot of time if I had realized that I didn't want to write a novel. And if I had given myself permission early on to just be true to myself and to write a novella, and it's okay, you're still telling the story. If people don't like the length of it, they can, just smush all four of them together and pretend it's one book. I'm
Right.
fine with that too. Hey, do what you got to do. But
That's good.
I just can't. I can't do it. But that's about it. To be able to go back and say, like, have some grace with yourself. This is not going to be the journey that you think it is. Stop fighting and just let it be the journey that it is.
That's really good advice for life too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you quit fighting against the flow, it life gets easier.
Very true. When you stop fighting against yourself and you're like, all right, well, how do I work with what I got going? Because it's not bad. I'm pretty brilliant. Brilliant people, brilliant things.
Exactly.
So I know that you've struggled sometimes with some mental illness issues and things like that. Like, I know that you said you found like some really good solutions. You've got it managed in a really good way. Can you speak to that for a few seconds?
Yeah, absolutely. I was diagnosed with depression after I had my first child. So it was
Oh,
technically
goodness.
at the time postpartum depression. But the more that we dug into it, the more we realized I had been depressed for a very long time. And again, I do not fault my family for this. They just didn't understand mental illness and they didn't understand depression. So I was not properly treated as a child with all of the other stuff I had going on. So as you can tell with, like, hey, you've been inside for too long. Get outside.
Right.
Yeah, like that's definitely not good for one's psyche. But I later in the journey figured out, so when I first was diagnosed, I was put on fluoxetine. And it was just like, let's see if this works. And it was a long time ago where we didn't have this smattering of medication options that we do now. And
Right.
it was just luck that the first one they gave me, the first medication worked. And
Yes. That's
like that,
amazing.
I know that never happens. So I constantly tell people, like, somebody will ask me, how many did you go through? Like, just one, only had one. And then they're like, oh, then I shouldn't. Like, no, that's an anomaly. But I had the medication for a while, and then I got to a point where I was like, okay, well, because it was, again, this point is still just postpartum, and I was like, well, I'm feeling a lot better. It's been a while. Let's wean off. And I did. And so for a few years, I was off medication. And when you go so long being depressed, you're not really sure what normal is supposed to feel like. So I thought things were good. And I realized things are not good after a couple of years. So I went to the doctor again and got put on a new kind of medication. And what they gave me was a once a week fluoxetine. I was supposed to take the pill every Sunday and it would just stay in my body and metabolize. Problem there is that I metabolized it too fast.
Oh,
So
no.
I would
You
get
had a
like,
big spike.
oh yeah, I would have 3 days of where I was like hallucinating, literally hallucinating. Like I would explain to my husband, I'm like, do you see the carpet jumping?
So
Because the
you were
carpet's
having some
jumping.
literal like Queen's Gambit moments there.
Yes. And then like I would have a day of things would be nice and calm. And then the end of the week I would tank. And it was like this huge swing. So I went through that for about a month before I realized this is bad. And, they say you got to keep at it, give it enough time. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. But I did the stupid thing and I just stopped taking it. But considering the fact that it was going through my system so fast, and fluoxetine, which is Prozac, has a pretty long shelf or half-life, which means it stays in your body for a while.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yes, half-life is how long it stays in your body till it's 50% gone.
Right.
And Prozac is, I think it's 2 weeks, whereas other medications like Xanax is like an hour. So that should tell you there's a pretty big discrepancy. So I finally got out of that medication, and I went for years being unmedicated. And what happened was that my husband and I just started coming up with coping mechanisms, like ways to just, when it would be really dark, I would say, I'm really struggling. And he would let me go to bed, and, he would handle things with the kids and the house and stuff like that. So for many years, that's how we functioned. And I would say it was probably 2015, maybe 14. It just got so bad that I said, okay, no, back on Prozac. So I called my doctor, got back on it. And because I knew that medication would work for me, it was just as simple as saying, hey, I need this medication. She was like, you got it. Here it is. And that's where I've been ever since. Like,
I'm
it
so
works
glad
for
you had
me.
a doctor that trusted you. That's amazing and huge.
She's phenomenal. I love my doctor. She is so wonderful. So,
I'm so glad.
yeah. And I think she's even younger than me. So she's of the, she doesn't have that hard boiled, oh, just rub some dirt in it and take a Motrin that a lot of older doctors do. She's very much so like, yeah, no, there's a lot going on more than what we thought. And so she's a great listener. So that's her thing. I listen.
That's huge.
Hear back. She's wonderful. But so yeah, that's been the case ever since. So it's been what, 5 years? 5 years that I've been medicated. And I have no problems. Like, everything is fine. And now again, this is an anomaly. This is not, other people, it's normal to have to go through several different medications and different doses to find what's going to work for somebody. And it might be a combination. It might be several different things that they have to try to see if it's going to work, or maybe it'll take care of this symptom and not that one. It's not.
Everybody's different. Everybody, and mental health is so. I think the thing about health that we don't always appreciate is just how subjective it is person to person. And there are things that, like, yes, they do change things, but like every person is going to respond differently. And every person's brain chemistry is just slightly, like, the situation's created some sort of different thing to contend with.
That's exactly it. Even if you have like the exact same like problem, like if the same, like an SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, like I kind of try to explain serotonin in your brain like the water cycle. If you picture like there's a pool, and in this like pool, like a pond, that's the serotonin that your brain uses, but it recycles. Like, it will soak back up into the sky, become a cloud, and then eventually rain back down. So the problem with my brain is that my serotonin sucks up out of the pool and drains the pool faster than my brain can process it. Therefore, I'm always depleted because they're always low. And it comes back, but then it sucks back up too fast. So the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, the reuptake is slowed down for me. And that's what the chemistry of my brain needs. So even inside of that, the amount of medication that you need depends on how much you need that reuptake inhibited, or whether you need it real inhibited or not very inhibited at all. It's just a little bit of a situation. But then there are other people who have completely different chemistry issues that need a different medication to do that. And that's why you cannot put a one-size-fits-all label.
Very true.
Like one Band-Aid is not going to cover it when it comes to mental illness, because the chemistry is all over the place. And there's so many different things that need addressed when somebody is mental ill, that you have to be patient, and you have to be vigilant, and you have to be honest with yourself
and kind
about how you're really doing. Yeah.
I'm glad that you recognized that you were still experiencing issues, and like then went back and pursued it. Like, even though, there's still stigma against taking medication, I'm glad that you've recognized that that was going to be your way to be a bionic awesome woman and like I don't know.
Exactly. I
I'm
always
glad.
I had an agreement with my husband that if it got to be too much, he was to tell me and I would be okay with it. I would say, okay, then if it's that bad, we'll cope. We'll make the next steps. And then vice versa. If I felt from my end like it was just too much, I would wave the white flag and that would be it. When our coping mechanisms and our agreements and our understanding of what I needed ceased to be sufficient, we would take it to the next level. And that's exactly what happened. I remember saying to him, I gotta go back on Prozac. It's just too dark. It's too dark. And something's got
I
to
am
change.
so proud of you for like I'm not in a pit like trying to be rude or anything. But that is hard to
No.
listen to yourself, to hear it and to be
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to actually make a change. Especially I feel like our society says you can't and that you're not allowed to do anything but do it yourself and like muscle through. Especially like Midwestern girls. I don't know. I feel like a lot of my friends are like, I have to be
Yeah.
perfect. I have to be.
Yep.
If I don't do it by myself, I have failed as a human. And like I have a
Exactly.
chronic illness and I need help. Like I need I can't do it all. Like I thought I could and
And
I definitely can't.
there's nothing wrong with that. I hate that
No,
has
there's
that stigma on it. Like if what's the
we
purpose of
all need
having
help.
these things out there if we can't tap into it when we need to? And to remove that stigma and to understand, like this helps
We
me
are
be my best self. And when I'm being my best self, I can help the world be its best self. It's a domino effect that everybody needs to get on their feet to be their best selves to the best of their abilities. And if that means you need help, so be it. Then take
right.
it. But it's more important that you get on your feet than it is that you don't rely on something to help.
There is no prize in heaven for not having gotten a medication or talking to a
Exactly.
therapist or any number of things. And we all need help in different ways. And I think recognizing we all rely on a massive system for our groceries, for
Yep.
everything. This is just a different way people need help. And it's okay.
Exactly.
One last question. You've been amazing. I'm so thankful
Oh,
that you came on.
thank you.
Any so if you two questions actually. One, if you could tell your younger like writing self some advice or like younger people writing advice, or and also if you can tell people more like in their older stage, not older, in her middle-aged amazing stage of life, writing
Indeed.
advice. What's the one
Keep
thing
going.
you'd like to tell? Ah,
The
that's a good
the
one.
the main thing is to keep going. Don't stop. Don't let anything slow you down. If you need a break, take the break. But don't stop. Just pause and then keep going. But for my younger self, it's the same thing. It's a matter of like, I remember being little and sitting in my bedroom with like a little packet of just loose leaf notebook paper and like writing my little stories. And I still have them and they're like dated. I've got like I had the wherewithal as a kid to write age 10 at the bottom. And and to just say you're going to do it. Like you're going to make it. Like and just go. Don't let other things derail you except for band because that was really important. Just take a break for band and then go back to writing. But
Okay, where can we
yeah,
find your books?
on Amazon. Right now, I am completely on Amazon, um, just because that's the stage that I'm at in my publishing.
We
So
don't judge
everything's on
here.
Amazon. Yeah, if you just search my name, my full name, middle name, everything, Nichole Ford Thomas. Ford is my middle name. It's not a hyphenation of my last name. Look for the whole thing, and then the books will appear. However, Ghost Stories for the Brokenhearted. I do not have that one up anymore to be bought in paperback off of Amazon. It is only available exclusively from a local shop. So I gave them exclusivity so that it helps that shop get
And I'll
the
add the links
paperbacks.
after we're done. Last
Thank
thing,
you.
I heard that you're collaborating with this book with some very cool people.
Yes, I have a candle coming out that is, and again, that as Davy in the beginning is walking home, and she knows she's getting close to home when she smells on the air the smell of raspberries and patchouli, that it's just that smell of home for her. So I am in the process of working with a company to make raspberry and patchouli scented candles. They're limited edition. We obviously can't like have them all the time, but it'll help that little multi-sensory sensory is the word, multi-sensory experience to help, burn the candle alongside reading it. And so much happens within barley and brine that it just puts you right there. You smell what they all smell where they are. And so yeah, there's
Makes
that
a good
candle.
holiday gift combo.
That would be amazing. I think that would be a great thing. But yeah, so as soon as that's live, like they're currently in production, that much I know. So it's going to be perhaps the end of this week, maybe beginning of next week. I know it's supposed to be early December. Because of COVID, getting the supplies that they need to perfect the scent is kind of slowing things down. But yes, there's going to be Spellbound the candle. So
it's exciting. Okay, and I know I've had you on for a very long time. If you wanted to read a little bit of the book, we'd love to hear some. I'm a big fan, but we don't have to if you got to run. So
no, I'm fine. Let me grab it because I even have it like bookmarked and everything.
That's exciting.
On my little shelf. Okay.
I love having authors read their own work. I think it just adds up. Anyway, I'm excited.
I would do the accents with this, but I just don't think it's going to work today for accents.
You're fine.
Without butchering a Southern accent, and I do not want to do that. So this section of the book is after the morning of everyone going, what the heck is going on? Davy wakes up in her house, which is also the shop, and two of her newfound compatriots are cooking breakfast. And she's confused because she hasn't had friends, and it's weird that there are people cooking in her kitchen. So the scene in the kitchen was comforting. Gretchen sat at the table sipping a coffee while Jordan was cooking bacon in one pan and pancakes in another. If it weren't for the apocalypse conditions outside the kitchen, it would look like a cozy Sunday morning with friends. Good morning, sleepyhead. Jordan flipped a pancake out of the plate, already stacked dangerously high, and slid it in front of Gretchen. I hope you don't mind, but I got some reinforcements. Coach always says breakfast is the most important meal of the day. He led the Boston Falls Bulldogs to 3 state championships, so I'm not going to call him a liar. Only then did I realize the countertops were full of food I wasn't sure was ours. Did you bring all of this from home? Not exactly. I made a stop off at the market on my way in. He stole a glance at me, then back to his bacon. Jordan, I said slowly, how did you get into the market? I hit the door with a hammer until the lock broke. A grin spread across his face and Gretchen giggled. And how exactly did you pay for the food? He turned sharply towards me, brandishing a... I see it like this. If we fail and zombies eat our brains, no one is going to care what we took from the store. And if we actually pull this off, we'll be Boston Falls heroes, and they'll dedicate park benches to us and find it in their hearts to forgive that we broke into the market and stole maple syrup. He snapped the tongs together, punctuating his point. Plus, added Gretchen, this food is going to go bad if somebody doesn't eat it, so really, we're doing them a service by not letting perfectly good food go to waste. I suspect they'll applaud our forward thinking. The two clinked the coffee mugs together. I smiled and took a seat at the table. I can see I'm not going to win this argument, so how about I just shut up and eat bacon? Jordan placed the last few strips on a plate before sitting at the table. Best plan you've had all day.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you so much.
No problem. Like I love Jordan. I have to say, I think Jordan's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite character. And if they hear me say that, they're going to get all jealous. But I love Jordan's sense of humor. He's a trip. Like as I'm writing Jordan, like as I'm writing him, I giggle. You're so funny, Jordan. I just channel it. I didn't write it. but he's sassy.
How did he come to you?
So he just, over time, I knew that I wanted to have a character of color,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that I wanted to have a male in it, to just be, not have it be cliche in that it's these four girls who are all witchcraft and stuff. So to add him in, he's like this, he's a jock, he's the sporty element, like he's definitely in so many ways the odd man out, but he's the one out of all of them that seems to have it together the most, and that's just fun.
That's awesome.
And he steals a Camaro. That's
Right.
worth mentioning.
And this Camaro, I hear it's inspired by a certain other Camaro.
It absolutely is. I actually was able a couple of years ago to buy my dream car, which is a Camaro. And so now I have a 2011 Chevy Camaro. It is black. I didn't have any choice in the matter. The windows are all blacked out. But now that it's there, it's nice. I'm not gonna,
You're
take it
so
off.
brilliant that the cars coming towards you would just be blinded. Like
That's
for
exactly
everybody's
it.
safety.
It's truly for everyone else. It was a mercy blackout, really. But the car that he steals is mine. So if people get upset, like, oh man, how'd you have him steal a car? Well, I mean, they do need a car because they're kind of not with a car. And he's the only one that can drive. And so he just feels that if he has to steal a car, he might as well steal one in style.
See,
So,
I like his thinking. That's some clever stuff right there.
Yeah, they're doing the best that they can in the town, trying to figure out, as 16-year-olds, how do we take care of ourselves and how do we take care of everyone else? And they're not always 100%, doing the right thing, but they've got the right logic behind it. And if that's not the most 16-year-old thing I've ever heard, I don't know.
They've got heart. They're in it for the.
Yeah, like questionable execution, but good thinking.
Nice. Thank you so much for coming on my channel and for talking about your book and your writing process and your issues with mental illness and stuff. And I appreciate you helping to raise awareness so that we feel less alone.
Absolutely.
Because we all deal with stuff. You're not
Absolutely.
alone out there.
Not at all alone. And there are people who understand, like when your brain is telling you nobody's going to understand, that's crap. There are people who will understand. There are people who won't understand and they will put their foot in their mouth, but that doesn't mean that everyone is like that. There are a lot of people who do understand firsthand and will help you through. Nobody's alone. You don't have to be alone. Nope. There's always someone.
You're amazing. Go get Spellbound, y'all. Get a candle. It's gonna be amazing. Great Christmas gift. And it's a really good. What target audience were you trying to write for? Sorry, last question.
No, it's fine. I actually didn't have one. So I try not to have when I write, I have one person in mind. Like there is one person in my mind. Like I can't go for like a whole demographic. I can't do it. So if there's one person in my brain that I'm like, I want to write this book and I want this person to read it and come out of it feeling heard and understood. It was my friend Jay. Jay was very, in the early days of where I was thinking about it, I was just bouncing everything off of Jay. And Jay was super great, as Jay is also a witch. Jay is an LGBT community, and which is how we met each other. We were both in our college. We were in the campus group together.
Nice.
Yes, they had a really long name. It was like
LGBTQIA+.
Well, yeah, but then there were like other things too. Like there's an S in there, and I was like, is the S for straight or student? Because I need to figure out exactly how I fit into this acronym. And they're like, we don't really know, so just whatever. I was like, oh yay! So
yay.
But I had Jay in mind. So when I think what was my target audience, Jay.
Nice.
and then whoever else can read it and feel like that they're being spoken to. I don't want to like pigeonhole and be like, oh, it's only going to be like 16 to 23-year-olds who are going to understand, because like I feel like somebody who is my age could read it and still say like, this is really interesting and there's something here. That's so Jay, the answer to the question is Jay.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's wonderful that you're writing it for a friend and somebody you care deeply about.
Yeah, they're really great.
That's amazing. And it is an LGBTQIA plus possibly book. There might be some people in the characters.
It is, and that starts in the second book. That really starts taking off in the second book, and it unfolds in a really interesting way. One of the promises that I made, Jay, when I first started plotting this and writing it, was that there would be no love triangles. No love triangles, not going to happen.
Oh my
God. So
God.
there are no love triangles in this story. There's one part where it looks like maybe I like, as I'm writing it in the second book, I'm like, oh, there's Jay. Jay's actually out there. Oh, I adore you, Jay.
Jay, thank you for showing up.
There's actually like a part where it kind of looks like it might be shifting into a love triangle. It's not. It's not. That's not what's happening. Please don't take it that way. So as I'm revising, I'm like, how do I make this look less like it's going here? Because that's just creepy. I don't know. My husband read it and was like, what is happening here? And I'm like, oh! So I've got to fix that. But hopefully we'll have it covered that it won't be an issue by the time this book gets in people's hands.
Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming on. And I hope you sell a bunch of books. And happy
Thank
to
you,
everybody.
To everyone. And I wish you so much luck with this channel. I am so honored to have been the first interview, and I cannot wait to see what you do from here. So keep going. Please keep going.
That's the plan. Onward.
Onward and upward. Outward?
Sure. Forward march. I don't know. Tally ho.
There we go. Do the thing.
You can do it. I am a tiny potato and I believe in you.
Oh, tiny potatoes.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, darling. So thank you for having me on.
Have a wonderful, beautiful day. And everybody out there, bye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.